On the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz comes an unprecedented exhibition about one of history's darkest moments. Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away, features more than 500 original objects, first-hand accounts, and survivor testimonies that tell the powerful story of the Auschwitz concentration camp, its history and legacy, and the underlying conditions that allowed the Holocaust to happen. On now exclusively at ROM. Tickets at rom.ca.
It gave me a whole new perspective to what our grandparents have been through. They had their entire lives stripped away from them, and they were forced into moving out.
Shalom, and welcome to Rivkush, the CJN podcast, talking to Jews of color about all things Jewish.
It's time we talk about more than just the tragedy, the hardships we've overcome and the savagery. It's time we focus on what's woven in the tapestry, the roots that connect us to our truth and the canopy of every single branch.
I am so blessed to have Adiel Cohen, who I happened to meet when he was in Toronto with an organization called Israel Is. Now, he is a super cool guy. He is a major TikTok influence coordinator with Israel Is. He is a digital creator. And you know what I'm loving? You know, I'm an old gal, so these titles didn't exist when I was growing up. So initially I'm like, okay. Well, anyways, he is a digital creator. He also does traditional stuff. He is a student, a university student who has just wrapped up his studies in poli-sci and Mid-East history at Tel Aviv University. And can I tell you something? In terms of being a major influencer, he has, because I checked, 71,000 followers. I feel like I have 2. But anyway, so that tells you the scope of his influence. And so I'm very, very happy to have you here, zooming in, if you wish, from Israel. So I really appreciate it because it's late evening for you. It's afternoon nap time for me. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right. So I do want to touch a little bit on you because as I told you, I kind of like to focus on Jews outside of the mainstream, you know, what we think of as mainstream Jews, because lately that has been a talking point, you know, when they say, go back to Europe and things like that. And yes, to recognize we come from all over the world. We're scattered people. And so I want to talk about, because I did see I saw a little bit of this on your social media, is the story of your grandparents.
Where do I even begin? I mean, there are so many stories that they told me. Okay, just recently, I compiled all the stories, or a lot of the stories that my grandmother, Sarah, told me right before she passed away. She passed away a few months ago. We were very, very close.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. We were very close. We lived in the same house. I grew up with her my entire life, and I grew up hearing all these stories from Yemen about her childhood, about, you know, life in Yemen, relations between Yemeni Jews and Yemeni Arabs. So it's really been a big part of my upbringing, and you know, as well as my activism. So I decided to compile all of these stories that she told me and run with it and just tell it to whoever wants to hear. She has some pretty crazy stories.
Tell me one.
Okay, so
put you on the spot. Tell me one.
Yeah, there are so many, but I'll tell you the main one. It happened right before they made Aliyah. So they made Aliyah in 1950. In Operation Magic Carpet, which was the main operation to bring back all the Jews of Yemen. 50,000 Jews made Aliyah with Operation Magic Carpet. That's about the vast majority of Yemenite Jews. Yeah, we weren't a lot. People think that we were like millions.
Yeah.
No,
because I have that impression that there was like so many. Okay.
So there were 60,000 Jews in Yemen when the State of Israel was established. 50,000 made Aliyah in 1950 with Operation Magic Carpet. And then throughout the next decades, more and more Jews either moved to other places in the diaspora. You have Yemeni Jews nowadays in London and New York and other parts of the U.S. and
Toronto.
yeah, and even Abu Dhabi, by the way. Nowadays,
Oh,
yeah, the last families that remained in Yemen moved to Abu Dhabi because they were forced to flee because of the Houthis. It happened 3 years ago, and honestly, I had the privilege to meet them. It was amazing. But anyway, we can talk about that later. But
yes.
back to my grandma's story. It happened right before they made Aliyah, days before they made Aliyah. During the 40s, there was a huge rise in anti-Semitism in Yemen, just like in Europe. People think that the Jews of Yemen lived somewhat secluded and like they didn't really know or were influenced by the state of the world, but it's the opposite from true. Uh, Jews in Yemen have always been connected to other Jewish communities, mostly in the Middle East, not really in Europe. So India, through the Indian Ocean and trade and all that, Iraq, Egypt, there was a lot of movement between these different communities. But as World War II came and anti-Semitism, started rising and rising in Europe, and especially after Hitler rose to power, a lot of these ideas infiltrated the Middle East. We know about the Fawhud. The Fawhud was the main, pogrom that happened
Right.
in Iraq, and it was all influenced by the Nazi allied Axis. And the same thing happened in Yemen. So there was a huge rise in anti-Semitism, and it peaked at one pogrom that happened in Sana'a, where my family is from, Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. There was a blood libel that was spread throughout the city of a Jewish family that murdered a Muslim girl. Now,
Wow.
in reality, it was two Muslim men that killed her based on, honor of the family. It was like an honorary, I don't know how to say it in English.
Honor
because I guess
killing. It's honor
honor
killing. Yeah.
Exactly. And they blamed the Jewish family for that because they threw her body in their well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, crazy story. Exactly like we hear from like blood libels from Europe. The same
Right.
things happened all throughout the diaspora in all places. So there was a wave of violence against against the Jewish quarter of Sana'a. Muslims, they stormed Jewish homes, broke into homes, looted, killed a lot of Jews. And my family that lived in a relatively big house, they were a pretty well-known family in the Jewish quarter. Their Muslim neighbor broke into their home and started attacking my grandma's grandfather. So they all lived together in the same house. My grandfather told all the grandchildren to go hide in the pantry, in the closets, and all of that. And when they saw from their hiding spots that their grandfather is in danger, they decided to just storm out of their hiding spots with anything they could find: pots, pans, knives, anything that they could use as a weapon. And they chased their neighbor down and out of the house, and they saved their grandfather. So that's what I think one of the most amazing stories that my grandma.
Powerful.
So powerful. And she was a little kid at the time. She was 8.
She's a baby.
Yeah, 8, a baby. And she
Yeah.
had a 14-year-old big sister, another big sister, one little brother who was a baby. So all of them, all together, simply rushed to save their grandfather. And in the next few days, they were already on the way out of their house because they
Yes.
understood that's it.
Yeah.
It's no longer safe for us here.
Yeah.
They took whatever they could. Her father gave her a pair of earrings, silver earrings. They were, Yemeni Jews were very known for their silversmith,
Beautiful stuff.
jewelry and all of that.
Yes.
So he gave her these earrings, and they set off to Aden. Aden is the city in southern Yemen where all the Jews from all over Yemen gathered to go on the planes back to Israel. They stayed there for some for months, some for some like somewhere along like around 2 years. They
Oh my
stayed in
gosh.
the refugee camp, and from there they flew to Israel. So it's wild, you know.
I
When
found
she
it
told me
chill.
that, yeah, when she told me that, it gave me a whole new perspective to what our grandparents have been through. They had their entire lives stripped away from them, and they were forced into moving out.
Yes.
And it's something that we nowadays, especially, you know, we live in Israel. Um, of course, there's a lot of anti-Semitism in Canada and in the U.S. now, but you know, Jews relatively live comfortably,
Yes.
and we always need to remind ourselves that 2 generations ago, this was not the case. So
Exactly.
that definitely influenced a lot of my activism and the way I
Right.
perceive Jews
Yeah.
and Judaism.
Absolutely. Because even as you're saying, like 2 generations ago, and I'm looking at that date, and I'm going to age myself, but 1950, who your grandmother would have been the age of like my parent. I'm not a young woman, but I'll just leave it at that. Could
I don't want to
potentially,
assume. I don't want to assume. You look great. All I have to say, you look
because
great.
I can say this, no one else can. Well, maybe somebody from Yemen can say it, or Morocco, or whatever. Black don't crack. That's why.
I heard this before. I've heard this before.
Yes. So you know. Anyways, so it really is. It's history, but it's not history because in my mind it's so recent.
Mhm.
And it is something that we just don't hear about enough. We tend to, within our Jewish family, we tend to sometimes run with the narratives that we are familiar with, and not recognizing that every country has its own narrative about how life was for the Jewish people there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we forget that. And we, in my opinion, you can correct me if I'm going way off, when I think of the experiences of people like your grandparents and your great grandparents, that they understand the Middle East and how it works, because I feel that people don't see Israel, even in my opinion, as a Middle Eastern country. They're forgetting that. They see it as, it's just like Canada, it's just like the United States.
Yeah,
I'm like,
a Western outpost.
yeah. And I don't get that. You find the same thing?
Of course, yeah, I see it all the time. I just last week I got a comment saying it was so bizarre. Like this guy saying, "Oh, you're just white and you're trying to pretend like you have culture, but you don't have culture." He said, "You're white like mayonnaise."
Oh God, sorry.
And I looked at it and I was like, "Are you seeing me?
Sorry.
Do you see me?" So I responded with a video grabbing a can of mayonnaise from my refrigerator and rubbing a
I'm
little bit
laughing. I'm like,
on my hand, and I told him, if your mayonnaise is the color of my skin, you should probably throw away your mayonnaise.
You think?
And I see, like, it's not just about skin color. A lot of people they say, oh, Israel is like a colony of the US, and a few months ago there was a video that came out from a pro-Palestine rally. It was just a white girl, not even Palestinian or something, a white girl, American, with a keffiyeh, and she said, I think that all Israelis need to go back to whatever countries they hold passports to. And most Israelis don't hold any other passports.
Passport than Israeli.
Israeli. Yeah,
Exactly.
now, sure, some Israelis are eligible for, Polish passport, Spanish passport. I'm Yemeni.
Sure.
I have
Where
nowhere
you
else
get
to go.
exactly nowhere to go. And what boggles the mind is, well, the lack of logic, but the fact that they're standing technically on land that actually was stolen, not like
Oh
Israel.
yeah.
They're standing on land that actually was stolen. And it's like, and where are your people from? Because I know you're not
Irony is there.
indigenous,
Irony is there.
right? It completely. It actually just gives me a bit of pain when I think about it. And sometimes it's not that I give up. I do pick and choose who I'm going to babble with, and I pray for some form of. No, I'm not even going to say it because I want this to air. So,
I get you. I get you.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not even going to say it.
On the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz comes an unprecedented exhibition about one of history's darkest moments. Auschwitz, not long ago, not far away, features more than 500 original objects, first-hand accounts, and survivor testimonies that tell the powerful story of the Auschwitz concentration camp, its history and legacy, and the underlying conditions that allowed the Holocaust to happen. On now exclusively at ROM. Tickets at rom.ca.
You are fighting the good fight on two fronts, really. You fought the fight because you tell the story of after October 7th, what your life was like.
Okay, so I think I'll remember that day for the rest of my life, very, very vividly. I don't know, I may forget details in a few years from now, but till this day, I really remember October 7th like it was yesterday. We were at my sister's house celebrating Simchat Torah. Usually we go up to my sister's house for holidays. She lives up in Atlit, which is next to Haifa. It's relatively north. And we wake up from our phones buzzing, 6:29 a.m., and we see all these rocket attacks all over Israel. We didn't get them, fortunately enough. We were like just up north of the range. But then my friends called, and then my aunt called us, and she told us, my aunt back in Ramat Gan in the center, she told us, listen, we're like we haven't gone out of the bomb shelter in like a good 20 minutes now. Like what's going on? And of course, we start seeing the videos, and everything starts to come out on social media. And I remember one of the first videos that I saw was of an Israeli soldier that was kidnapped into Gaza, and they really abused his body in ways that I haven't seen ever in my life. And it was just out there on social media, on Telegram. And I remember I froze, and I had this little panic attack. It's the first time that I really felt like I was having a panic attack. I couldn't stop breathing heavily, and my heart went pounding. It was a shock. The entire day was a shock, and there was so much uncertainty. We didn't know what's going on. Half of the family keeps Shabbat, so they didn't have their phones, and the celebrations at the synagogue, they were still going on, but rumors started to spread, and people came back home from the celebrations, and I said, okay, I think it's going to be a big war. I prepared myself mentally already in the afternoon to.
Oh, really? So you just had that instinct.
Yeah, I prepared myself mentally. I said, okay, I'm expecting a call from my commander, and really, Motzash, as soon as Shabbat was over, I got a call from my commander. He told me, pack your stuff and come down south. And I took, as soon as Shabbat was over, we left my sister's house. I went back home. packed a backpack, not even like not a duffel bag,
Duffel, yeah.
of underpants, socks, just soap, all of that, like random basic things. I didn't know how long we're going to stay there.
Exactly. And how can you process packing when all this stuff is going on? It's like, what the hell? I'm surprised you're even able to pack.
Exactly. And I went down south the same night. The atmosphere, I remember the roads were completely empty. And after Shabbat, after Chag, highways in Israel are packed with people.
Packed. Yeah. Everybody's going out. Everybody's
packed with people.
Yeah, I know.
And it was empty. The only vehicles that were driving south were ambulances, military vehicles, and Zaka vehicles. Zaka, the unit that takes care of bodies. And it was just chills. I already started feeling like, okay, reality has changed. And we spent the next few days in this remote base down south, not quite near Gaza, but like more towards Gaza, preparing our stuff, preparing our vehicles. My military profession, I'm a rocketeer and a rocket launcher commander. So I have a small team of 2 more people, and we operate a rocket launcher. And we had to prepare our vehicles, our rocket launchers, prepare them for, operation. And it was just, again, this sense of uncertainty was all over. I asked my commander, okay, do you know how long we're going to be here for? What about food? What about showers? I didn't shower in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
For the first 2 weeks, I didn't shower. We didn't have that. And then, after a few days, we got the call. We had to drive towards Gaza, and as we're driving with our rocket launchers towards Gaza through the fields, we have rocket attacks, and the Iron Dome doesn't cover, open areas, only populated areas.
Because that's the intent of it. Let it drop in open areas. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're driving through an open area, and we know that if there's a rocket attack, rockets are going to hit. We have to just leave the vehicle, run as far as possible, lie on the ground, in the field, in the mud, and just hope for the best. And exactly, with our hands on the head, and I found myself several times that happened. We see the rockets coming straight at us from Gaza as we're driving towards the Gaza Strip. It was 24 hours. Took 24 hours for us to drive from the base to Gaza, because we drove through fields and we did all this zigzag. And of course, we drove very, very slow because we are a whole, caravan of rocket launchers. And then, we had to operate, and I had the chance to go and see the kibbutzim during this time, and it was really traumatic because, I've seen all the videos. That went on social media, but nothing prepared me for the moment I got off the bus at the kibbutzim and smelled the air of death and fire, and you see houses, communities that used to be an oasis in the middle of the desert, talking about a beautiful green community with orchards and olive groves and beautiful, really beautiful communities destroyed, full of blood. The blood was still wet on the floor and ashes everywhere. It was horrifying. We also, after 3 weeks in the south, we were called up to the north, which is where I spent most of my miluim. When Hezbollah started to escalate, and we had drone attacks and rocket attacks coming at us. Of course, nowadays, unfortunately, up north, things have gotten a lot worse than when I was there.
My beloved Metula is basically gone.
Yeah, Metula, which, again, one of the most beautiful places.
I love it.
Beautiful. like such a
Adiel, I
small
go there
town.
we go to Israel almost every year, and we always go up to Metula because I insist on it because it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Do you have family there, or just
Yeah, yes, family and friends in Israel.
okay?
Yeah. So, but
Uh,
anyways,
yeah. So a lot of the houses, a lot of the communities now on the border of Lebanon are completely, I don't know if completely, but heavily damaged. Kiryat Shmona, Metula, Shlomi, all beautiful, beautiful places, and we don't know what the future holds for this region.
I don't even have words. Like just listening to you, we've I've heard stories, and it just each story hits me harder and different every time. And just even just hearing about your trek through the desert, and I was actually visualizing it because I like to say I know Israel pretty well. Like I drive around a lot in Israel, and I lived in Arad for like a year. So the weirdest place to possibly live, I
Yeah,
understand,
very
but
random.
yeah, totally random. But I pictured, and I could actually visualize your trek with the convoy and the rockets overhead, and I'm like, how do you not lose your shit? Like, how do you keep it together?
I have to say it was weirdly one of the most beautiful drives I've had in my life. We drove through, it's the cotton blossom season. So we drove through cotton fields, and it was like cotton fields, and the clouds, like the clouds were so fluffy, and everything was just, it came together
White and
so
fluffy.
beautifully. Yeah, like the like a fluffy field with fluffy
Yeah,
clouds.
that's what I was thinking. Fluffy and fluffy.
Yeah, and it was one of the most beautiful drives I've had in my life. So I I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the drive there. There was always this sense of uncertainty that made things really, really heavy. But generally, during my miluim, it was some of the most beautiful sunsets I've seen in my life. Some of the most beautiful interactions with our friends, for like our friends in the unit. Some of the most beautiful moments I've had in my life, and all surrounded by this cloud of tragedy that just happened to us, and still going on, like it's an ongoing tragedy. So it was really just a surreal time to be there, but I really, really tried to hold on to the beautiful moments, and also document. I when I realized that I'm going to stay there for quite a while, and I'm a content creator, and I said, as much as I can, because some things are classified and sometimes we can't use our phones. As much as I can, I'm going to document. I'm going to take videos, photos of this incredible experience that I'm currently experiencing with my friends, and with the entire country. It's like the entire nation has been going and still going through something that is incredible. Um, yeah, and I decided to also like show it to my following, to my followers, uh, and hopefully get people to understand that, or at least try to understand what we're going through,
Right,
through
exactly.
the content that I made during the war.
And to also humanize it, right? Because people outside of Israel, it is almost, I don't want to say it's clinical, but it almost is, right? It's just
Yeah,
like dot dot dot, and
yeah,
you
they think
doing
we're
that
like
humanizes it.
monsters,
Yeah.
like genocidal maniacs. Like I get all these names.
Dripping blood from your fangs, and
Yeah,
just like, right? So this
crazy, and we're
humanizes
just,
it.
we're humans, and I try to show all these moments. Every night we gather together. Some nights we had a bonfire. We sang songs with the guitar. I wanted to show the world that side of the IDF, because they
Yeah.
don't understand it. They don't understand that we're humans. We're humans fighting for our survival.
Yeah.
And most of the people who criticize us or like, call us all these names, they don't understand what survival means.
Exactly. They have zero concept of it. And, we talked about survival with the story of your great grandfather, your grandmother, and fighting. I think we truly understand surviving for our lives.
Yep.
And also the added piece of the youthfulness of all of you who are fighting for Israel. And people also tend to forget that.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right?
Also, you said youthfulness, okay? But like when I look at the people that, left everything and came, we're talking about people all the way from soldiers who just finished mandatory service, age 21.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them like already went to their big trip after the army. Israelis after we finished the army, we go
Thailand, South America.
Some people really came back from Panama.
I know.
On a flight full of Israelis back to the war, all the way to like people who left their like fathers and mothers.
That is true. Yeah.
And like age 40 and up.
Yeah.
So, and we all came together and we were like family.
Yeah.
Like you didn't feel the age gap.
Yeah, because you're in the same thing. You're in the same thing. That melts away. But I think it's also important for people to see that too. Because it's funny when you mentioned that. I just flashed to a friend of mine, and he is past even the ability and to like decently past it. Yes, but instead, what he's doing is he volunteered with the police, and what he's doing, I'm like, well, you're basically a police officer now. And he goes, yeah, basically I am, because they trained him to do more and more things and more clearance to do more and more things. But that he stopped doing his day-to-day stuff so that he could do that, right? And it is impressive to see everybody coming together and doing whatever they can. For those who can't serve, they do this, or they help out those whose families are serving. So it's like, okay, you're alone. Let me look after the kids for you. Let me do this. Let me do that. Right? Everybody, I think that is the unintended, at least from the other side, the unintended consequence is it actually, I think, brought us all together and truly made us super strong. And I don't think they were counting on that. I think they were counting on the Jews crumbling and the Israelis crumbling.
Definitely. They don't understand that we have something that is so much stronger than, I haven't seen anything like that anywhere else in the world. I consider myself well-traveled. I love meeting new cultures. I love appreciating other cultures. In Israel and, like all Jewish people worldwide, we have this something that we really know how to come together and be there for each other. And I don't think there's like an equivalent to that in English, arvut hadadit, like mutual responsibility towards one another. I think because I think it's a Jewish term. I think it's from the Talmud.
It sounds like,
arvut hadadit. We really know how to come together and be there for each other, regardless of our differences, and there's tons of differences. And I think I would like to add, before the war, we've experienced some of the worst times that we've experienced in terms of division and like political unrest in Israel and protests everywhere and like really sinat chinam, a lot of baseless hate. And during the war, I saw Haredim driving their cars with their trunk open, full of supplies for soldiers and snacks and food and all these like energy bars and tzitziot if we wanted to have.
As you can't not have that.
Just going around base to base, area to area, and handing out supplies for soldiers. Same thing goes for Achim Laneshek. Achim Laneshek are one of the main organizations that, they were very dominant during the protests against the government before the war, and till this day they're very dominant. Relatively, most of them are Chiloni, not really religious, pretty secular, pretty liberal. Again, moving from base to base with supplies, packing stuff for displaced families, for soldiers. Like, nothing mattered. When the war started, nothing mattered. We knew how to come together and help each other. It was so beautiful to witness.
Wow. Well, one of the things my sister-in-law said, because I was in Israel I call them the Yams, Yom Ha'atzmaut, Yom HaZikaron, Yom Ha'atzmaut, in 2023. And that was the height of the protests, right? So
Wow.
she was going to the protests, and and I teased her. I'm like, oh, but then politically we're a little different, but I love her to bits. And so she took me to the protests and stuff, and I was like, okay. And my thing was, great, now I can't drive into Tel Aviv because all the roads are closed. Like, that was my thing. But anyways, she's, after everything, she said to me that like what you said, because they had built such an infrastructure themselves on ways to disseminate information and throughout the country, they flipped it when October 7th happened, and they used their contacts to get things moving. And I said to her, I said, oh, I never thought of that. She says, yeah, because we already had a built-in infrastructure. If we can, within 45 minutes get, tens of thousands of people to show up at somewhere to protest, she says, we have a great communication system.
Yeah,
I was kind of impressed.
I saw it. Like, they turned like one of their centers in Tel Aviv into like a packing center for packages and all of that. And same thing goes for like schools, yeshivot in the Haredi sector. There were videos coming out of I think it was Daliat El Carmel, a Druze village. They turned one of their community centers into a packing center for displaced families and soldiers, and it was so beautiful to see. This was the light in all this darkness.
Right. So I just want to touch on some of the stuff for your digital creation, because I'm noticing a theme, and maybe it's just a theme in my head, because I'll tell you something. I learned this Hebrew word just to make sure that I never got it by accident. Avatiach. Because I can't stand it. And so, for those of you who are listening, avatiach is watermelon.
Wait, you don't like watermelon?
I do not like watermelon. I know. How can I not like Israel's national fruit?
Literally, it's national fruit. I don't care what anyone says.
It is. It's everywhere. And my equal other, he's Israeli, and he's like, oh, Rivka, look at this beautiful avatiach. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, you already have one in the fridge. Like, how much can you have? And everyone tries to get me to eat it, and I'm like, no. And they look at me like I'm crazy.
It's a whole theory. How do you pick the best avatiach? You need to smack it. You need to look for the stain.
And I'm like, really?
It's traditionally it's the husband's job. It's a very Israeli dad core, like, to know how to pick the right avatiach. It's
so he comes by it naturally. Okay. I saw some of you eating watermelon. Tell me about this watermelon theme. I know why, but tell us why.
So there's this theory, right? You would hear a lot of different stories on why Palestinians use avatiach as a national symbol. Some say that it's because Palestinian artists chose watermelon to symbolize the flag because the flag was banned. Some people say that it's it has to do with Palestinian farmers. I heard a lot of different versions.
Wow, because they don't know.
Them, yeah, none of them I could confirm. Like none of them I saw anything about in real life. But it really became a symbol of Palestinian resistance, especially after October 7th. I saw it before already, like it was already years before, but especially after October 7th, it became an obsession. Like I saw videos of people accusing Starbucks for putting out mugs, coffee mugs with watermelons on them, saying that they appropriate a Palestinian symbol. People say that Israelis can't have watermelon because it's considered stealing and cultural appropriation. And
okay, so
it's hilarious.
Wow.
And to make fun of it in some of my recent videos, I just decided to, okay, I'm not having it. I'm putting up my camera. I bring out a huge avatiach, cut it to pieces, and then make a beautiful bowl of avatiach, and then I eat it in front of my beautiful Israeli flag hanging in my balcony.
Okay,
yeah. And these videos really worked. Like people liked it.
And they lost their minds.
They lost their minds.
Over you eating watermelon in front of Well, okay, so you also are, your title is TikTok influence coordinator, correct? That's a very interesting title.
It's interesting because my position at Israel is changes all the time.
Oh, okay.
Basically, what I do, I mentor young Israelis on this program for up and coming influencers, content creators, and I mentor them on how to become better content creators and how to incorporate their personal Israeli story into the content.
Okay. So so they should change your title. Tell us a little bit more about Israel Is.
So it's an NGO, non-political, non-partisan. It exists since 2017. It was established by 3 veterans, IDF veterans, who just finished their service. They went on their big trip to South America, and this is where they first met people like non-Israelis who confronted them about their Israeli identity and Israeli experience. And at that moment, they realized how much impact we have as Israelis traveling abroad, to influence other people's minds, not through politics and not through all this like hasbara and all of that, but through people-to-people connections. So it's an organization whose goal is to create people-to-people connections between Israelis and young audiences abroad, Jewish and non-Jewish, to improve Israel's image in the world through the people of Israel.
Right. Adiel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was so great. And the next time I'm in Israel, maybe if you don't have anything to do, which I'm sure is not true, we should meet up.
I'm coming to Canada in November, so.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming back to Toronto.
Okay. Then we shall meet up there
so
first.
So much fun with you guys. So, I decided to come back.
Okay, so we're going to make it bigger and better. And we'll just take you around everywhere and really and truly. Okay. Well, that's great to hear. Yeah. And again, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you for taking the time, because I know you are super busy.
Thank you so much.
Rivkush is hosted by me, Rivka Campbell. We're produced and edited by Michael Fraiman and the CJN Podcast Network. Our theme music is by Westside Gravy. If you like this episode, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. To support our work and everything else the CJN does, visit thecjn.ca/donate to make a monthly donation and receive a charitable tax receipt. Thanks for listening.
On the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz comes an unprecedented exhibition about one of history's darkest moments. Auschwitz, Not Long Ago, Not Far Away, features more than 500 original objects, first-hand accounts, and survivor testimonies that tell the powerful story of the Auschwitz concentration camp, its history and legacy, and the underlying conditions that allowed the Holocaust to happen. On now exclusively at ROM. Tickets at rom.ca.